Okay, let's dive into this explainer. Every single second, all around us, there's this invisible, dynamic flow that dictates absolutely everything that happens in our world. Today, we're tracking the power. We're going to explore energy transformations and conservation and see exactly how the universe perfectly balances its books. But before we really get into the nuts and bolts of the mechanics, ask yourself a super basic question. Where does the power to move actually originate? When a race car tears down a track or a flashlight suddenly pierces the dark, we're really only seeing the very end result of a long, invisible chain reaction. To find the true origin of all that movement and light, we have to look past the surface and dig into the unbreakable rules that govern our entire universe. To crack this mystery, we've got to start with the absolute unbreakable rule of the cosmos. It's called the law of conservation of energy, and it lays down a fundamental reality. Energy cannot be created, and it literally cannot be destroyed. It can only change forms or transfer between objects. Think of it kind of like this. If you draw a box around a closed system, totally isolating it from everything else, the total energy inside that box remains completely constant from beginning to end. It's this beautiful rhythmic refrain of the universe. No energy is lost. It just changes form. Now, what's really interesting about this is that energy is locked in this constant, fascinating dance between two main states. First up, we have potential energy. This is stored energy based on its position or physical state. Just imagine a massive boulder resting exactly at the edge of a steep cliff, or an incredibly tight-drawn bowstring. That stationary position holds immense, coiled power just waiting for a catalyst. And the moment it tips or releases, bam, it transforms entirely into kinetic energy, which is the energy of motion. The boulder crashing down the mountainside or the arrow violently slicing through the air. The universe is endlessly trading back and forth between these two states, constantly cashing in potential for kinetic. All right, let's ground this massive, universal concept in everyday reality. Let's literally track the power of a simple, battery-powered toy car. Because honestly, it's the perfect miniature closed system to watch the law of conservation of energy play out in real time. Picture our little toy car sitting there perfectly still. We start right at the source with glowing green lines inside the battery. This is our potential chemical energy, safely packed away in chemical bonds. Now you flip the switch and boom, that energy transforms. It starts surging out as bright, flowing blue lines of electrical energy traveling rapidly through the wires. And then that electrical current hits the motor. It detonates into blazing orange mechanical kinetic energy, violently spinning the wheels and propelling the car forward. But hey, notice those small, wavy orange lines radiating off the body of the car? That's thermal energy, heat. It's basically the inevitable tax the universe takes on every single energy transaction because of the friction of moving parts. Literally nothing operates at 100% efficiency without paying that thermal tax. Which brings us right back to our golden rule. No energy is lost, it just changes form. I mean, even that thermal heat radiating off the motor isn't energy vanishing into the void or being destroyed. It's just another form. If you were to mathematically add up the mechanical kinetic energy propelling the car forward, plus these thermal energy warming up the surrounding air, it perfectly, 100%, equals the chemical energy we originally stored in that green battery. The cosmic ledger always balances to zero. And this brilliantly illustrates that this isn't just a localized rule for toys, it's the underlying operating system of reality. Take a standard flashlight, for instance. Its story perfectly mirrors our toy car. Both systems take chemical energy from a battery as their initial input. Both transfer that power as electrical energy flowing through wires. But while the car outputs mechanical motion and heat, the flashlight outputs light and heat. The starting line and the track are totally identical. It's only the finish line that looks different depending on the machine. So if the flow of energy is really this predictable, how do we manipulate it? Like, what actually happens if we upgrade the battery and drastically increase the input? If energy is this constant, unbroken stream, tweaking the starting variables absolutely has to ripple all the way down the line, right? Well, the math here is beautifully simple. Increasing the input energy directly scales up the output. If we pack a larger battery, meaning double the stored chemical energy into our car, the inevitable result is a massive surge in the mechanical speed at the wheels. More green chemical potential at the start guarantees more blazing orange kinetic power at the end. It is a locked, direct, and entirely measurable proportional relationship. So the crucial point is this: the total energy in a closed system always remains constant. Whether it's a giant boulder teetering on a high hill, a flashlight piercing the dark, or our upgraded toy car zipping across the living room floor, we are really just tracking the exact same power as it wears different masks. Chemical, electrical, mechanical, thermal. Beneath the mask, the total amount of power is completely unchanged, never created, never ever destroyed. Which leaves us with one final, kind of mind-blowing reality to consider. Since energy is never destroyed, where does the energy from your everyday movements ultimately end up? I mean, the chemical energy from your breakfast literally powers the kinetic energy you use to walk, to speak, to swipe on a screen. And that energy doesn't just vanish when you stop moving. It ripples out into the world as heat and sound, changing form forever. You aren't just using energy. You're a living, breathing conduit for it. Definitely something to think about the next time you flip a switch or, honestly, even just take a breath.